Hey, what's going on? So this is going to be a demo video of the Spotify application. Just a real quick description. What it does is it pulls down playlist data from Spotify and it converts it to a Zune compatible playlist format. It doesn't download any music at all. What this does is it just downloads the tracks and the track data, and it compares them against your existing music library to build a Zune compatible playlist. I'm going to give a quick demo of what that's going to look like, getting started, getting to pulling down your first playlists. And then after I do that, I'm going to give a more detailed description of some of the other features of the application. So check the chapters in this video, check the timestamps in the description, and you'll see the different sections. If you just want to jump in, get a couple of playlists off of Spotify and be done with it, perfect. This is the section for you. If you want a more detailed explanation about some of the features in it, skip forward to the marker and I'll have more information on how to do all that. Okay, so when you download the application, you're going to be given a single exe file. There's not going to be any other files that go along with it. Anything that Spotify needs to operate properly is going to be generated on the fly. Nothing's going to come with it. It's just going to be this exe file. So go ahead and open that up, and you're going to be greeted to a command prompt. Now, if you're not used to using a command prompt, it's just going to ask you to input information. Once you get the setup out of the way, all you need to do is paste in the Spotify playlist that you want to pull down, and it's that simple. I'll demonstrate that shortly. Now, on first launch, it's going to say that the config file was not found, and it's going to create it. And all you need to do is provide a path to your music folder. Now, my music folder is stored on a network drive. So what I'm going to do is go to that go to that folder, copy it, and paste it in. If your music folder is somewhere on your computer, do the exact same process. Say if mine was under my music folder, I would want to go to, where's music? Music, and then I can copy that and paste that in. But since that's not my music folder, let me take that out. All right, so I can go ahead and hit enter, but I do want to go ahead and point out, it says if you have more than one, provide one, then later use the -p add command to add a second one. So if you have multiple folder locations where you store your music for different reasons, you can add that second one. It just needs one to build the config file. So I'll go ahead and provide it that one. And I'm going to go ahead and add a second one just so you can see what that looks like. What you're going to do is when you get to this green text that says enter Spotify playlist ID or help for a list of options, just go ahead and put in the option -p space add and then paste in the path to your other music folder. There. If you want to verify that you did set this up correctly, you can push -p and there's your paths. Okay, so now that we have the path in there, all we need to do is give it a URL. So let's go ahead and copy a URL here. We'll go back, paste it in, and hit enter. Now it's going to pull down the playlist data, and then it's going to check that playlist data against your music folder. Now, my drive is relatively large. I have 17,000 songs on my network drive, so it takes a long time to process all of that. Comparatively speaking, of course, I have pulled music onto a local drive and tried that, and it is extremely fast. But if you are on a network drive, especially if you're on Wi-Fi, just be patient. I promise it'll get it processed. Now, what's going to happen is periodically throughout this process, it's going to ask you to choose a song. There's going to be different versions of different songs for different reasons. Maybe you have a song that released on an album, a song that released on a greatest hits, a song that released as an acoustic version, and a song that released as a live version. Those are going to come up, and the application's not going to assume which one you want. So what's going to happen is it's going to give you a prompt and you just choose the version of the song that you want. Now in my case, my music folder is kind of messed up right now because I've been trying to optimize some things, and in the process I accidentally made a bunch of duplicates. So here I have the same song over. So all three of these are the exact same, but I'm going to choose the one that I want, and then it's going to move on. All right, so notice this is the fourth track that it's processed, and we didn't have to choose anything for the other two. When it finds a match and it doesn't find a duplicate or a possible duplicate, it just grabs it, it stores it, it moves on. So I'm already on the fourth one. I'm going to go ahead and tell it which one I want. And I'm just going to fly through this real quick. Okay, now here's another example. What's happened here is it's looking for Green Day American Idiot, but it sees the album is called American Idiot, and it doesn't know what to do with that. So it thinks that all 4 of these are the one that it's looking for. So I'm just going to tell it which track is the one that I'm looking for, and it'll add that one. Alright, so I'm getting toward the end of this, and something didn't come up that I kind of hoped would come up, but didn't. And before I move on from this one, I want to go ahead and show you. So at the end of each of these selections is going to be the 0 none option. There is a small possibility that it's going to ask you to confirm which one is the correct one, and none of them are correct. None of them are what you're looking for. That's what that option is for. So if you're in a situation where it asks you for, say, an acoustic version of a song and all you have are the non-acoustic versions of the song, it's not going to match up. Now, alternatively, it could make a mistake if it's looking for an acoustic version of a song and you only have one song in your library that is the same name of that song but not the acoustic version. There is a possibility that it could add the wrong track. Now, that is something that I'm looking at trying to improve on, but as of right now, whenever a playlist gets made, just kind of run through it, check and make sure each version is the right version, and you shouldn't run into that very often. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up. All right, so now that it's done, it says that the matching was complete, and there were 53 matches in that folder. This second one is referring to the empty music folder that I put in there just a minute ago. This one, there's nothing in there, so of course there were 0 matches in that folder. Now, total, it said there were 53 matches, and there were 14 tracks that could not be matched. And then it wrote 14 unmatched tracks to this text file, and then it created my playlist. So I'm pretty much done. I can press enter and go on to the next one, or I can press C and close the application. So I'm just going to press C. And now back here, what I can do is go to my Spotify folder. And in my Spotify folder, I'm going to have a folder that says playlists. And in here is my WPL playlist file. And I also have a unmatched text track. I can use this text file to find the songs that it couldn't find. And I can either manually add them into that playlist, or I can acquire those songs and then run the scan again and let it do what it needs to do. But I'm not actually going to worry about any of that. I'm just going to close this and I'm going to go to my playlist file. So I'm going to open up my Zune collection. Okay. And I've got my playlists open here. So what I'm going to do now is go to my WPL file and copy it. You can either right click or Control C. And then I'm going to go to my music folder where I have my playlists folder from Zune. Inside of my playlists folder, I'm going to paste in my WPL file. And you'll see right here, playlists dash, and then the name of that playlist. Now give it just a little bit, because what's going to happen is it's going to use that WPL file, which is a Windows Media Player playlist file, and convert that into a Zune playlist file, which is a little bit different, and it takes a few seconds depending on how big the playlist is. But this one's pretty short, so I can feel pretty good that it's done. So I'm going to check it out. So if I go here, look at that. We have all these songs right here in Zune ready to go. So now I can go back here, delete this WPL file, and then I can rename this to whatever I want. And that's pretty much it. The only other thing that I didn't mention that I think is good to point out is if you go back to your playlists folder that was created in the Spotify directory, there's going to be one folder called log.txt. Inside of there is going to be the name of the playlist you have used and the link to that playlist. If you ever download a playlist and you forget, which playlist was it? Was it this one or was it that one? Just come back to your log, take a look. It'll be there. That's it. That's all you need to know if you just want to download a few playlists. That's the whole thing. One other thing that I think I could mention that might be helpful is if you have a whole bunch of them. What you can do is you can add in a Spotify playlist and then put a comma and then put a Spotify playlist and put a comma, and you can just keep doing that. And it'll process every single one of those playlists and series. And that can be really helpful if you have a whole bunch that you want to process. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this demo. If you have any issues, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. If any errors come up and you have any problems running anything, head over to this issues tab right here on GitHub and submit an issue and let me know what's going on. You will need to have an account, but it will help me keep track of things extremely easily from GitHub if I have it here. And if other people are having those problems, then I can keep it all together. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. If this is the point in the video that you feel like you've got enough to do what you needed to do, I wish you all the best, and you have a good one. Now, for anybody else who's here who wants to know more about some of the features of Spotify, let's go ahead and talk about that. So I'm going to close out of Zune and bring this up right here. So if you're looking to get more out of Spotify, what you can do is pull up the application and just type help. I really hope that I've made this help file as easy to read as possible. If you feel like I could make some improvements here, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to make things easier in any way that I can. But one of the things that you can do within Spotify that is a little bit beyond basic is if you need to do anything to the config file, you can do it all through the command line. So if I just type config, it's going to give me the text that's in the config file. Now, if you have a network location, it has to use double backslashes because those are registered as escape characters in C#. It's a whole thing. Just trust me. Anything that uses a backslash, like a path, is going to have double what you put in there. That's not a bug. If you type -p, you can read it normally. The config file is completely separate from that. So yeah, let's clear this out and type config again. Now, in the config file, you see there's going to be a few more options. Log successful matches, log unsuccessful matches, and log processed playlists. If you want to keep a log of successful matches, you can turn that on, and we can do so from the help. So right here where it says config log matched, we can see that that is the command we're looking for. And we can either copy it by highlighting and then right-clicking and paste it in, or you can just type that in here. So now it says it's marked as true, and if we check the config file, we can verify that. And now when we download a playlist, we're also going to get a log of the successful matches. Now, if we want to turn everything off, I don't want any logging of anything. Let's just be done with the logging. I just want the playlist file. Well, you can do that too. We'll do config log matched, be set to false, config log unmatched, and config log playlists. Now everything is set to false and we won't get anything logged. If you're just looking for playlist files and you don't want any of those extra text files, this is what you would want to do. Now, let's say we've been messing with some things in the config file. We opened it up, which you can actually open directly from the command line. You can type config-open and it opens the text file. Now, let's say you're in here and you're just messing around and then you save it and you're like, ah, crap. I think I messed something up. Let's see, config. Oh no, I did mess something up. All of that is wrong. -p. Oh God, I broke it. Not a problem. What you can do is if you open it and you get that error and it doesn't know what to do with any of that, just delete it. Just completely delete it. You don't need it. Open the exe back up. It'll create a new config file, and all you have to do is once again provide it with the path to your music folder. Now you're good. No harm, no foul. Alternatively, if you want to go back to default and you just want the default settings back after you've messed with some things, you can do config-rebuild, and it builds a new config file again. Once again, provide it the path, and you're good. Okay, so let's clear all this out, type help. If you want to see the playlists that you've created, you can do -L, and that will list out your playlists. If you want to remove a path from your list of music folders, like let's say I don't use this directory anymore, let's get rid of that. Do -p remove and then the full path, and it'll remove it. So now there's nothing there. If you want to add one back in, -p add, and there you go. Okay, now let's say you wanted to get a text file of a bunch of playlists that are in there. You've got a huge list of playlists that you just want to let process. You can walk away, come back. You don't want to have to use commas. You want to copy paste back and forth. Just have a big text file of a bunch of playlists. Well, what you can do is -f and then put a space. And if I go to my documents here, I've got a text file called playlist tester. If I open that up, I've got a bunch of playlists here. And the way that you can get that in is by clicking, dragging, and letting go. And there you go. If I were to run that, it would run through every single one of those playlists. And it's just one other way that you can get bulk amounts of playlists without putting in a whole bunch of copy paste, wait. It's just a little bit easier way to bulk process playlists. And it's a little bit cleaner than having to copy and paste links over and over. So yeah, I think that's really about it. The only other options are clear and of course we have exit. So yeah, that's a little bit more detailed explanation of the features of Spotify. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. If you run into any issues at all, you start getting crazy errors and you're not sure what happened, come over here to this issues tab. Let me know what's going on and I'll troubleshoot it as best as I can. And if it's something that I need to fix on my end, I'll get that fixed as quickly as possible. So yeah, thanks for checking it out, and I hope this helps you enjoy your Zune a little bit more and you can get a little bit more out of it. Thanks.